What's up, guys? This is Adam from KFR Technology, and welcome back to another Call of Duty commentary. Today, I want to talk about the time that I got banned from Six Flags for a year. Now, the story starts last year after we just finished finals. It was the end of my freshman year, and me and four other friends, we wanted to go on a camping trip. So we went on the camping trip. We had a really fun weekend, and maybe I'll talk about that in another episode. But at the end of the trip, we planned on going to Six Flags. So it was, I believe, Sunday. We got up really early, drove to Six Flags, and we were first in line, ready to get into the park. Now, we waited for probably like 15 minutes. We were really excited, and the gates opened. We ran to their biggest ride, and we rode it 3 times within 15 minutes. That was one of the highlights of Six Flags, and after we actually got finished with that, we went on one of their dropper type rides. It takes you up and then it just drops you straight down. And I just remember watching one of my friends who had a headache after riding that their biggest ride 3 times in a row. We just watched him as we're going up. He's just laying on a bench. We're just waving to him the whole way there. And so that it was a really good start to Six Flags, you know. And as we went on through the day, we went on all of the big rides that they had there. I'll go X-Flight through a couple of. I'll go through a couple of them. Like I said, X-Flight, Batman, Superman. We went on like a wave kind of one. It's I don't remember the name, but you go on like a little huge tube thing, and you just go down like a fake river or something. And we were having a lot of fun. And so we got a little bit hungry, but before we wanted to eat, we actually wanted to go to the water park that they had there. So we went out, we got all our swimming gear, and we put it on, and we walked into the water park. And like I said, summer was just beginning, so the park itself wasn't very full, and the water park was completely empty. Nobody was there, so it was just us. That's probably the first problem. So we got into the water park. We went on their little wave simulator thing, me and my one friend. We were so bad at it. That thing just disorients you. Like, you have no idea where you are. And so we were on there, and then we were like, alright, that was fun, let's go to the wave pool. So we probably went to the wave pool for 5 or 10 minutes, and while we were in there, we saw this huge raft ride you could go down. So the 4 of us split into 2, and we were gonna race down it. So the first one went. As we're going down, my one friend who's in there with me, we'll call him Nick, jumps across the other side and goes, I'm gonna throw you out of here, like, of the tube that we're in. And he doesn't really, he kind of fake grabs me, and then he jumps back to the other side, and it's all good. Now, in these rides, we're enclosed in a tube, and the sound echoes. So, of course, the workers at the top could hear what he said, and hearing, I'm gonna throw you out of here, and that just doesn't sound very good. So he follows what he's supposed to do. We go back for a second run, and he tells us, watch out, I heard you guys there. So we're like, okay. So we rode it normally, and we got to the bottom. Then the 4 of us, we went back to the wave pool for 15 minutes. As soon as we're coming out, there were 4 security guards approaching us, and they start talking to us. They talk to my one friend. He gives his side of the story. Wasn't really 2 sides of it, but he kind of explains it wrong. He says, oh, we were just wrestling. That was another problem. He might have led them to believe the wrong thing, and I was never able to tell them exactly what I thought it was. So they thought it was completely dangerous. They thought he was trying to throw me out of it, actually, when in reality he was just playing a joke. So they asked me for my name and for my birthday, and we walked back to Nick's dad, who was on the trip with us. Now, Nick's dad is just passed out on a lawn chair, just sleeping, and we run back to him, and we wake him up, and he's like, oh, okay, alright, fine, because he'd just been told we were only supposed to be kicked out of the park for a day, and that was kind of ridiculous in itself. So Nick's dad was just like, alright, that's cool. So we walked to their little security building or whatever they call it. We had to take this super secret back roadway, since that's what the Six Flags security guards get to do, but there was nobody at the park. But anyway, we arrived at their little security place, and we sat down. We probably waited about 30 minutes for them to finally get all the paperwork ready. And while we were in there, there's this other girl who was in there for something. She apparently had bought drugs, bought something to use the drugs, and then attempted to use the drugs, and then ran away from a undercover Six Flags security guy who caught her. And she was in there, and she was getting written up for something much worse than what we were doing. And it wasn't her first time doing something like this at Six Flags, so she was super happy. Like, I don't care I'm getting kicked out of Six Flags. I don't even like it here. To having to call her mom and being crying, like really praying her mom not to tell her dad. And this girl was just all over the place. I believe she ended up getting kicked out for a year. No, she got kicked out for life. And she, again, was an emotional roller coaster at Six Flags. So, anyway, we waited about 20-25 minutes until they finally came up to us and they were like, okay, we're going to kick you out for a year. And where it's like, wait, what? We didn't do anything. We were just playing around. And I remember Nick's dad was like, they're just boys being boys. And it's like, we didn't do anything. And he comes back and says something stupid like, this was one of you could have gotten seriously injured, and we could have had to call the ambulance for you, and we just don't accept that here, and we would never have gotten hurt or anything. It was complete BS, and it really stunk. So we got kicked out, and we are driving back to our homes, and Nick's mom calls and tells us to go back and argue. So we go back, we argue, nothing happens. We're still kicked out for a year. So we celebrated. We made ourselves feel better by going to McDonald's and, well, chowing down like the average American would, since we're all fat. So anyway, that is the story of how I got kicked out of Six Flags for 1 year. Kind of a ridiculous story. It never should have happened. If there were more people at the park that day, they never would have found us. They never would have cared about any of that. But you know what? It's okay. May 27, 2014, I'll be back. So thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, and I'll see you next time.